My name is H.A. Goodman, and I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. Hit subscribe right now. Sometimes you get bogged down and you focus too much on some kind of policy objective or some kind of vision of what justice should be. Yeah, Clinton's committed crimes. She's an overt criminal. She hasn't faced legal or political political consequences. Yeah, she lost the election. I said she would lose the election. She lost the election. But the legal consequences have yet to take place. That is nothing. That pales in comparison. That's absolutely nothing compared to what President Trump was able to accomplish. How does a Bernie Sanders supporter? I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. All those people who were like, fight the oligarchy, man. They were not the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet. When I was on the left, I went full steam. And people were like, oh my God, he's never going to win. This is clickbait. Well, one of the reasons I loved Bernie Sanders, past tense, is because he had a foreign policy. I think an anti-war foreign policy, I believe foreign policy is the most important aspect. I vote first and foremost on foreign policy. What we do as a nation, we're the most powerful nation in the world. What we do, even under good intentions, even with good intent, you know what they say about the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We have the potential, inadvertently, to create mayhem, chaos, inadvertently with our foreign policy, and we've done so. President Obama has done so. Bush has done so. Obama destroyed Libya. Bush, Iraq, and Afghanistan. We have hundreds of thousands of traumatic brain injuries. We have over 1 million soldiers injured in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've written in The Hill, I've written in the Huffington Post, the Jerusalem Post, against counterinsurgency wars. We have a president now who brought back soldiers from Syria. He's engaging in a full withdrawal of soldiers from Syria. Who got us there? The Nobel Peace Prize winning Obama. That should tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The same liberals, the same Democratic Party who will fire people, who will boycott Tucker Carlson, who will say, oh yeah, ABC needs to fire Roseanne Barr for a tweet that she apologized for. This media is run by Democrats who want to destroy your life if you utter one word that they find, maybe even if you were wrong, even if you should never have written the word. They want to fire you and destroy your life. But if it's Joy Ann Reid with homophobic blog posts, or Hillary Clinton saying, oh, all black people look alike, what they'll do is they'll spin it. Joy Ann Reid saying, oh, Russian hackers. And Hillary Clinton, oh yeah, well, she was trying to somehow some kind of lesson with her dumb joke. We have a president now who is engaging in peace, whose foreign policy has resulted in the beginning of peace between North and South Korea. And he is fixing another Obama mistake, removing American soldiers from Syria. This is a great thing. What happens? Pelosi is against it. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday criticized President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria and raised concerns at the timing of the announcement. By the way, I don't always put the links below because sometimes it messes with the algorithm. So it could be like there could be some word that YouTube doesn't want within the link, and so it'll mess with it. It'll mess with the video. But anyway, Pelosi draws... This is The Hill. If you want to look it up, it's fine. Pelosi draws link between Flynn-Trump decision on Syria, December 19th. So she's trying to say, oh, well, he doesn't really want to. He's not really anti-war. He's just doing it for domestic reasons. And furthermore, it's a bad decision anyway. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday criticized President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria and raised concerns that the timing of the announcement coinciding with new developments in the legal proceedings for the former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. By the way, Michael Flynn, just getting back to that really quickly, how is that Trump-Russia? How does that hurt Trump? How is that Trump-Russia collusion? They got him for lying to Peter Strzok, who wanted to hurt Trump. If I was Trump, I would have... that's the thing. If he fired Mueller, perhaps he couldn't have done this in the manner he wanted. You know what? I take back anything I've ever said about Trump not acting. I take it all back. I take it all back. My mind was too focused. Well, I mean, because he actually delivered. This is actually more important than anything, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be, and by the way, my viewers have stated we need to be out of Afghanistan, Iraq. I agree with you. We have 10,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. We have over 5,000 in Iraq. We need to bring them all home for Christmas and New Year's with their families. See, the difference now between Republicans and Democrats is Democrats only hate Israel. That's like the one policy, the one anti-war policy they have. And then they focus on other issues that Obama got us into. With Trump, he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, which is what every other president promised. But most importantly, obviously, peace between North and South Korea, and bringing home our soldiers from Syria. I said one of the reasons I went from Bernie to Trump has been because of foreign policy. Foreign policy. When you have a president, when you have a president where it's like, how do I explain this? You have neoconservatives, Max Boot, Bill Kristol, Robert Kagan, who are advising Hillary Clinton. They're advising Hillary Clinton. They're advising Democrats. You have an interventionist foreign policy. Now you have Lindsey Graham, who, you have both sides, both establishment sides, pushing for interventions, regime changes, military quagmires. This is Hillary Clinton. It's premature for the president to declare a sweeping victory. So she was. Why are we leaving? All Americans should be concerned that this hasty announcement was made on the day after sentencing. So what? It has nothing to do with anything. Michael Flynn had absolutely nothing to do with Trump-Russia collusion. None of them do. There is no Trump-Russia collusion. They keep moving the goalpost because they have nothing. So, they keep moving the goalpost because they have nothing. And then Lindsey Graham also is like, oh, well, this is bad too. So he's getting it from both sides. That's why Trump was elected, to get it from both sides in terms of doing what's right, foreign policy-wise. This is a great, great thing that he did. This is an absolutely wonderful thing that he did. And the problem is media doesn't even address his achievements. Not for a moment does media. Slate has an article saying that from Fred Kaplan, how it's a bad decision. I mean, you have people, and I tried to convey the point, you have liberals and Democrats who have tried to call everyone Nazi, yet they're okay with interventions and regime changes and military quagmires. How does that work? They have no concept of history. They have no concept that the biggest fascists and totalitarian regimes engaged in the most military endeavors to conquer, to destroy, all of these things. Now that might not be our motivation, but like I said, Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, Syria didn't work out. It didn't work out because we either helped create or we entered an ongoing civil war, a quagmire. It turned into these turned into counterinsurgency wars. Our military is not made for a counterinsurgency war. We have the biggest military. We have the most nuclear weapons. We have the biggest, largest Air Force Navy. But you can't utilize that if somebody is hiding in an apartment. You can't utilize those advantages. So you have a general named Daniel Bolger who wrote Why We Lost regarding Iraq. We should never be in a situation where our soldiers are ambushed. We should never be in a situation where our most elite soldiers are ambushed or any soldier is ambushed. We should never be in a situation where we're patrolling another territory. Go into, somebody's backyard and see if you can, make your way around. Same thing with us. We should never send our soldiers into these civil wars with no end. And that's what Pelosi and Graham and the media and the Democratic Party want, and the Republican Party, establishment Republican Party. That's how you go from writing an article about Rand Paul to Bernie Sanders to Trump. That's how you go from writing an article where you think that Elizabeth Warren would have that type of foreign policy So people are like, this one guy, like, he's like, you're such a lunatic, Jacob, man. He does like, 10, almost, I think 10 segments on me. He's like obsessed with me. Maybe he dreams of me. I don't know. That's weird. But he's always like, this guy's a lunatic. And then I reach out to him to debate. He's like, nah, nobody wants to debate me because it's not a good decision. Because if there's something that I know they're lying about, if there's something that I know that they have really no knowledge of, yet they're spewing nonsense, and that's left and right, even though I'm a Trump supporter, no problem debating people discussing you-know-what. But President Trump did a great thing. I can't stress enough. And this is, by the way, and you're hearing this from me, this is infinitely better than Clinton indictments. Let me just put it this way. If H.A. Goodman had to choose right now, if Clinton indicted tomorrow, my channel goes to like 250,000, like within a month, 2 months or whatever. Like, it would be amazing for my channel, my writing, vindicating, whatever. If I had to choose right now, obviously, I'd pick American soldiers brought home from Syria. I wrote in the Hill, and I'll put that in the pinned comment. I always say I'll put something in the pinned comment, and I don't. I'll put in the pinned comment. I wrote, American soldiers, I explained in the Hill in 2015 that putting troops in, Obama putting troops in Syria will lead to a counterinsurgency war. But President Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize, and then he turned out to be absolutely horrible in terms of foreign policy. Obama's foreign policy was horrible. Notice that Democrats don't really talk about foreign policy because they have nothing to talk about. Obama's foreign policy was a weak extension of Bush's, where he actually destroyed Libya, got us into Syria, got us into Yemen. I mean, where did the rise? ISIS formed during President Obama's tenure. Well, I mean, initially, the genesis is Bush, obviously, in Iraq, but the expansion was under Obama, and he called it the JV team. Obama was horrible in terms of foreign policy. He pretended he was just this savvy, intelligent, smart power guy. Democrats in the media like to think of themselves as these intellectual, really savvy know-it-alls, and the Republicans are just so backwards. Well, establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats are pretty much the same thing when it comes to foreign policy. Okay, you have a certain vocal extreme wing of the Democratic Party that just hates Israel, that they don't care about, any other. It's 100% Israel's fault, everything, no matter what. They're obsessed with that. And then you have a small group within the Republican Party that is anti-war, anti-intervention, anti-regime change. And then the left wants to marginalize them because they're like, oh yeah, they don't really care about people's lives. They care about their whatever. The left will rationalize any stupid way to marginalize a viewpoint they find fearful. The left knows that Democrats are, warmongers, neoconservatives who want regime change, they want interventions. They know that conservatives like Rand Paul or Trump, in this case, President Trump is amazing. He did a great thing. They know that this is actually paints Democrats, shows Democrats are hypocrites. So what they say is, well, they don't care. They're just isolationists. Regardless, who if you're in another country, do you really care whether someone's an isolationist or whether someone is prejudiced, which Trump is not? That whole thing is just I can go on forever. But you don't care. If you're in another country and you have a choice between the United States intervening, taking out a dictator, and then all chaos and all heck breaking loose because of a power vacuum, obviously you don't care what the motive is for the U.S. not to intervene. That's what people on the left don't care about. People on the left, their goal in life is to be morally superior. That's why they focus on words. and semantics, because then they can then say, well, you know what? This MSNBC host shouldn't have been fired because it was an alt-right plot. So rehire the guy, if you know what I'm talking about. The left is full of hypocrites, pseudo-intellectuals, and dummies, masquerading, pretending to be these philosophical, learned individuals. They don't know. Not only are they abysmal in terms of their knowledge of history, they always use phrases or words. They call people Nazi when it's the opposite is the case. Like a Jew who supports Israel, they'll still call that person that I'm a Jew, an American who wants our soldiers to be home for Christmas. Who wants our soldiers and their families to be together. I want all our soldiers back home, and I support Israel. To the left, oh, I'm a supremacist sympathizer or whatever. I mean, to the extreme left, to the idiots who know nothing about history or have really no value system. They just think that they're morally superior, but they're not, because they're doing the bidding of Nancy Pelosi. They're too stupid to realize it. You go from Bernie Sanders to Trump because of what Trump is doing right now. He pulled out of Syria. It is a great thing. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's something where all Trump voters should be happy. I want Trump to win in 2020. And I thank God that he's not going to get the credit he deserves. He never gets the credit he deserves for things. But I thank God that Trump is president. Because if he was not president, Hillary Clinton had stated she wants to go into Damascus and remove Assad. And if you don't know where Damascus is located, you're very likely a Democrat who focuses on euphemisms. And you just don't know anything about foreign policy. You don't know anything about history. That's why these major pundits on the left with hundreds of thousands of channels, they never debate me. They don't really understand history. And mainly, they would never debate me because I know what hypocrites they all are. I was on the left. I know what the Democratic Party does. And I know the attempts to funnel rage or outrage into the Democratic Party just strengthens the Democratic Party. So at the end of the day, you're helping the neoconservatives, you're helping the Hillary Clintons of the world, the Pelosis, amass power. That's why I'm a Trump supporter. That's why I'm a Trump voter. I'm a Trump voter because he is bringing home soldiers from war. He's an anti-interventionist. He's anti-regime change. That's a good thing. If you care about the planet, if you care about the world, if you pretend to be also morally superior, oh my God, then you should probably say thank you to President Trump. Take a moment from moralizing and grandstanding and getting on your soapbox on Twitter and trying to say, oh yeah, This is more important, ladies and gentlemen, than even Medicare for all, even if you think it's feasible economically, which it isn't. If it was feasible economically, I'd be for it, because I was for it before. I didn't realize that it was not feasible. 325 million people, whatever. Mercatus study, there's other studies. Even a favorable study that was pushed by Bernie Sanders recently was like, oh yeah, there's a net worth tax. Most Americans are not going to go for a net worth tax. But anyway, it's more important because it affects the world, and it affects healthcare. When you have hundreds of thousands of soldiers with traumatic brain injuries, with PTSD, with over 1 million who are injured, there are people who their backs will never be the same, their knees will never be the same. Okay, they'll have night terrors. I've met soldiers, wonderful, amazing people, veterans, just who happen to be waiters or just talk to people. I'll never forget one young guy in his 20s. He said he has night terrors every night, and so, but he found ways to just get better and everything. So, but these people sacrifice for us, and their contribution, their family sacrifice, their sacrifice. The people have given their lives for this country. You have Democrats who They don't care. All they care about is moral grandstanding. And when somebody comes to the plate, hits a home run, and President Trump hit a home run today, what happens? Oh, they don't care. They don't care. It's a bad thing. And they Lindsey Graham's, a lot better lately, but Lindsey Graham is still the same establishment Republican, and Pelosi is still the same establishment Democrat when it comes to foreign policy. And that is why I'm voting for Trump in 2020. That is why Trump was elected. Give me your thoughts below. This is better than Clinton indictments, ladies and gentlemen. Might not seem that way I'm not jumping. I mean, I should be. I could be jumping for joy right now. But this is a million times better. This is a million times better than Clinton indictments, which I definitely want and which I definitely think will take place eventually. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right